folks, and again, Soaring Prophets from the Toronto Humane Society, welcome. And we're joined by the boss today, the CEO. We have Phil Nichols, and Phil is kind of an interesting story. First of all, you look around this organization and you see that there's obviously leadership at the top, bringing all of these people through that we've had already, and they all seem so vision and mission driven. They really do come from a place of heart. And Phil, first of all, thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate you giving your time up. You guys are packed. Like today, we couldn't believe the lineups all around the building. 135 year anniversary coming up here. What are you doing right? What's going on? First of all, how did you get in with the Toronto Humane Society? Because you've kind of started at the bottom and now you're here.
Yeah. I started at Toronto Humane about 14 years ago as a registered veterinary technician.
Okay.
And worked my way up from there through management in varying roles. Today is a super busy day. It's doors open in the city, and we made the top 10 list of our hidden history, I think, just because of the tenure that we have in the city. So it's been a really busy day.
That's right. Well, first of all, thank you for joining us, because I know you're running a big operation here. Like this is not just we're going to have a few people stop by for coffee and tea. You've had hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people float through your doors today. We're looking out here at a beautiful vista of people walking by on tours all day long. It's been wild.
Not only that, I went out front, and it goes from the door and then around the corner. I hope we get footage of that soon. But
right.
It is incredible how like that is a lot of love from the city of Toronto.
Yeah. So what does that look like? So you start off as a tech, you're like CEO, you've worked into a managerial position now. What's going on in Toronto, the Toronto Humane Society, to be so successful? How has that process changed in your 14 years?
It's been a lot of change in my 14 years.
I believe it, yeah.
Yeah, we've been going through a big shift in, I think, the understanding of animal welfare in the community. And we have great people. And we have great people that are making tremendous change day by day. And I think that's the result. What you're seeing today, walking through, is the result of the people that are contributing through and recognizing the value of the human-animal bond.
Yeah, and it's amazing because everyone we talked, from the behaviorist to the person that helps at the front door, to it doesn't matter who they are, they all have the same mission. We all want to keep the owner and the pet together, and that's a different kind of concept that I wasn't aware of. We really thought it was about you guys house animals when no one can take care of them, you take them off the streets, but that's not what it is. What is your mission is different, I think, than some of the other humanity.
I think we're on that, the trend, right? The curve is happening, and organizations are starting to come along, and we're having that realization that, for 100+ years, we've been here to be the organization when systems fail.
Right.
And then animals end up here, and the question is, how do you stop that?
Right.
And more organizations are getting behind that, but I think that's the important part, is how do we keep more animals with their homes? One, to keep the pets with the people that love them and help maintain that and for their welfare. And two, we can help so many more families and animals that way. Yeah. It's a lot more effective.
Well, the proactive approach, right? So as a CEO, the buck stops with you at the end of the day. The successes, the failures, all of those sorts of things, right? Yeah. And again, my background in business, I've owned a bunch of real estate and that sort of thing. I understand the position that you find yourself in managing a multi-million dollar entity. Like, I believe we were talking with Malcolm earlier, you got a $13 million a year payroll. Like, if you don't get that January 1st, you're wondering where that's coming from. Yeah. So what are you doing as far as in the community, as far as initiatives, working with the community to have them understand what it is you folks need? Because, again, we're here today. We're trying to do that. Again, the Benjamin Project is working on trying to get that awareness out there. But, again, that buck stops sort of with you. You have great people, but it sort of stops with you.
Yeah, and it's an interesting question, too, right? And I think part of it is not so much... It's not just helping the community understand what we need, but us doing better to understand what the community needs.
Right.
And I think when we have good people and we're able to do that well, the community understanding us and us understanding them becomes more cohesive and a collective unit.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
Part of getting care to the community and being that service agency has really helped to increase the number of individuals we're able to connect with, but also those that know the story of what we're doing that can help feed that forward in their own neighborhoods and with their own connections.
Yeah. That is such an enlightened way to look at it. It's not just necessarily about people understanding what we're doing. It's about finding out what the society needs around us and meeting those needs. And so for me, a lot of the people under you that we've talked to today talked about unhoused people. And I had no idea that what they faced and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that has affected the direction of Toronto Humane Society?
I think being unhoused or precariously housed is such a intricate part of how people care for animals. With more than 60% of households owning pets now across Canada, when people end up unhoused, they likely have animals that are with them, right? And ensuring that we have the right supports to be able to give them what they need at that point in time. And it may not be surrender, it might be a temporary foster while they get themselves back on their feet. Or just access to the right care at a rate they can afford and find access to. And that's where we can make the most difference.
So from a financial perspective, and again, I'm going to lean a little bit more on the finance aspect with you than some of the other individuals. From a financial perspective, being proactive, what are we seeing in regards to cost efficiencies per se, as opposed to reactive? Where you're coming in, the dog is sick, the people are like bewildered with what do I do next? How is that proactive nature helping?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. I think part of what we need to do is look at the private sector and the industry to understand where we make the biggest impact on that first. So our public services run on more of a social enterprise model, so they're not all free.
Sure.
And a lot of that comes in. So our baseline rates sit somewhere around 50% of industry standard. And if we can get preventative services, vaccination, deworming, general wellness out in the community at a higher volume, we can reduce the number of animals that come in. So it's a lot cheaper to vaccinate an animal than it is to treat it for parvo.
Right.
So that's really the basis of what we're looking at from an efficiency perspective. It off the cuff, at least 6 to 1. Wow, that's wild. On average.
That's wild. So, and again, you know, when we look at the budget that you folks are operating here, when you can stretch that sixfold, really, at the end of the day, because that's what it sounds like you're doing with these preventative pieces, that's powerful. So, how long have you been CEO with Toronto Humane?
Just coming up on a year now.
I love that. Yeah. So you have taken on, but again, we talked with everybody here so far, and we've got a few more interviews before we go. The vision and mission that you have established and maintained here is echoed from Dr. Ward this morning all the way through to Telka, who just left here a few minutes ago. Every one of them is in the same boat pulling. It is a beautiful thing, and it speaks to what you've built here and what you're building over the next 10 years of your career. What advice would you have for other agencies out there that are looking to do similar type things? How hard has it been? What have some of the stumbling blocks been? And what are some of the great successes that you get to brag about?
I think the biggest thing is getting the right people on your team to move in the right space, right? Like, the industry is changing. We've been around for so long and doing the same thing for so long as an industry. Shifting away from that and that large of a change is hard. And you worry that you're giving up providing needed care in order to do something else, and this isn't an either-or scenario a lot of the time. It's how to do all of that and some.
Awesome.
Getting the right business model down, understanding your community is really key, and having the right people to make it successful are the two big things.
Well, I imagine there's probably, because this is 100-year-old, 135?
Correct.
125.
35.
You have people that have been here for a very long time and think things should be in a way that they are. And Pat and I have kind of delved into organizations like that and tried to help out. Change is hard. So as the CEO, how do you approach that? Like, how have you had pushback, or have you been able to explain it in such a way that they're like, you know what, you're absolutely right? Because this is a caring place. So
I think people see the value in it, right? And whether they see the value in it and fully agree that that's what they want to do is a different thing, right? And we have lost some people that aren't fully committed to where we are focusing as an organization, but they still get it a lot of the time. And I think that's been the toughest part, and the best way to make an impact and generate the buy-in that's needed is to do it well.
Yes.
Right. So we made a pretty big shift in commitment in this year's budget and have taken our below market rate care provision target from around 1.2 to 4 million.
Wow.
From last year to this year, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. By the end of April, we were already sitting at around 1.2. So I think we're making the right impact, and the more that people can come to work every day and feel and see that they're making that impact, and they're seeing the buy-in and the generation of the community wanting to be a part of the organization, it becomes a lot easier. The biggest thing that we've done, though, is doing more work with the community and reaching out and making it a place that they feel comfortable to come in and see. And I think that helps establish and validate the reasons why. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't love their animals. They just need help.
Yeah.
And that's been a really big eye-opener for us.
We talked to a few people about, so I was in a situation where I was away in Halifax because my daughter had a surgery. I was taking care of her. My dog needed help. I had someone watching him, but they couldn't effectively watch him because he was very connected to me. So he was having behaviors. So I, at one point, was looking at rehoming him because I cannot come back for another 20 days. I have this issue. I don't know what to do with my dog. But what I think the beautiful part about what you guys are doing is that I've talked to people, and they're all on the same mission, that someone could have helped me there. I could have rehomed my dog for a short period of time. There are so many more options, and I love the fact that all of your people are talking about that.
It's wild.
They're all, every single person we talk to, the switch has already happened.
Yes.
Because they're talking from a human element perspective. Every single one of them are doing more outside to make what they do here better. Yeah. Like we talked to some people that are teaching now in the social service worker program so they can link the animal aspect of it. It is unbelievable, the people that you have here, and now you have the Benjamin Project that's trying to help raise money for you. Because as I understand, and this is one of the things that blew me away, our Canadian government is not helping to fund this. Our Ontario government is not helping to fund this. I thought that would be a no-brainer. I mean, we have people that are studying snails and the effectiveness of inclines that we're paying for some reason, but we're not helping these people that, it's our families, it's our friends, it's our society, and if we take care of our animals properly, it makes a better society. So can I ask why not? Why is the Canadian government, Ontario government, or Toronto not throwing money towards this?
I think it's an understanding of the intersectionality of how much value exists within the human-animal bond and the companionship that's there. I mean, the city funds animal control. Right, and they do,
that's their bare mechanism.
That's the bare minimum mechanism, and it's a very policing style control, bylaw enforcement, minimum piece. Right, we see animals as a way to advance the humaneness of a community and the effectiveness of a community, right? To be better, and getting more engagement and understanding of that's tough. Right, and I think it's really. It's a big shift that we're asking the public to get on side with and understand more, and government it's generally a lot slower.
Absolutely.
Than the common public, right? So absolutely. I think 10 years from now, maybe we're going to be looking at a different scenario, but right now we're just trying to continue to build the momentum to understand the challenge to what it is. And that's how our industry started. When Toronto Humane started, we were the Humane Society, which looked after animals and stray children.
Really?
And it was about, I want to say, like 10, 12 years in when the Children's Aid Society of Ontario split off from Toronto Humane Society.
That is, I did not realize that.
Yeah, same founder. Thing. And then, we kind of drifted and started to go down to that, all right, we're going to police, we're going to do this. And now we're kind of coming full circle and bringing it back in, understanding a bit more of the roots and the core of why we exist.
That's a beautiful vision, right? And if you can come back full circle to including both those, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. You talk about the SPCA. You guys have some sort of connection with them. Yeah. I imagine that you do a lot of work with those guys. Maybe talk a little bit about what that looks like as far as the enforcement side and how after an enforcement, maybe getting people rehomed, the dog rehomed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we do have a very strong relationship with the OSPCA. They have stopped doing enforcement now. So for the last few years, that's actually been a government function.
Really?
So the Provincial Animal Welfare Service does the enforcement side now. Yeah. Humane Society shelters support the aftercare and the work. So very similar to what would happen with like Children's Aid.
Sure.
We let bylaw and the government do what they need to do. We'll support on the care provision.
Sure.
And that helps keep things a little bit more separate and allows us to focus on where our core is.
Interesting. Very cool. Well, Phil, I want to thank you again for having us. This has been a really unique experience. And again, for us, as just a couple guys, walking into your establishment, seeing what you've built here, and again, that full circle that you're bringing everything back to, that the heart-centered approach, which I think is really cool. Folks, Benjamin Project, get out there, check out the book. We're going to have all these put up for you over the next little while, QR codes. You know how to get it through 1000 Trees Publishing. Malcolm, one of our heroes, is with putting this all together. this has been really a unique experience. We don't often get to come to an organization like this that is doing something to change people's lives every day. Soaring Prophets, we tell the stories of champions. That's our shtick. But you don't get to touch and see these heroes every day. You don't get CNN breaking down the door every day to tell these stories either. So by supporting us, by helping us, you allow us to get in here and talk with Phil, talk with his people that are wildly on the same page. It's a beautiful vision. Phil, I want to thank you, pal. This has been very cool.
I absolutely hope we can do more because just talking to the people below you, they are inspired, creative, and they're really, there are so many aspects that are needed in our society right now that they're covering, and it's from a humane society. Like they're covering social work and unhoused people and monetary and veterinary. There are so many aspects to this building that I didn't understand when I came in, and I hope our profiteers out there are going to understand. And it's amazing that you're leading it. Obviously, you're a gifted leader, and I just appreciate you taking time to sit down with us. And we made you wait. So every single one of them are coming on their free time on a Sunday that normally they wouldn't be here, just so that they can share what they're doing.
Pretty cool.
Not because they want gratification. None of these people, all of them sat down saying, I don't really want to talk about me. It's about this service. It's about reaching the people. And you heard them say it. It's not about letting you know who they are. It's about finding out what you need and reaching that goal. And I think that's the most beautiful thing I've heard all day.
Phil, how do people help you?
Volunteer, foster, donation, all are helpful. Even just spreading the word and helping the community understand why we're here and what supports are available to them, all go towards helping and advancing our mission.
Yeah, I love it, guys. From us, Soaring Prophets boys, as always,